morning. The morning commute, about 3 to 6 inches likely over much of Massachusetts. Lesser amounts to the south. Then during the day on Friday, another inch, possibly 3, before it begins to taper off, mixed with sleet and freezing rain.
I can take care of myself in the ring, but in my car, I've got to protect a lot more than just my pretty face. Like George, 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 and George. That's why I trust my brakes to Meineke. They're experts, so I get high-quality service at a low price. Heck, with all these Georges, I could use that extra money for food.
Now more than ever, at Meineke, you're not going to pay a lot, but you'll get a lot.
I guarantee it.
Facts. Through Monday only at Fredder. All best-selling audio speakers are on sale. All best-selling GE and major washers and dryers are on sale. This GE 19-inch color TV is now just $177. And through Monday only, get 0% financing. 0% on our best-selling 30-inch and larger TVs. And on our best-selling home computers. But hurry, it all ends Monday. It's always better to buy at Fredder. And if anyone claims otherwise, there's no way.
This is WCVB-TV, Boston.
Sam's first true love was his high school art teacher. When he was 17, they had an affair that left him scarred emotionally. Brenda's first love was her high school guidance counselor. They were involved for 5 years. She even gave birth to his child. Brenda and Sam say they were both victimized by teachers who crossed an ethical line, teachers who took advantage of their youth and inexperience. But Fred is a former teacher who doesn't think student-teacher romances are morally wrong. He met his wife when she walked into his 6th grade math class, and he married her when she was 16. Now, this is a story that rocked the small Rhode Island town that you're from. It landed you in jail for a while. It cost you your job. It sounds incredibly sordid in many ways. What's the real story? When you first met this young woman, were you attracted to her?
Not at all. There was no relationship between she and I when we were student and teacher. The relationship came years later.
How many years later?
6 years later.
Okay, but you did marry her when she was how old?
17.
All right.
Well, it's not much of a difference.
All right, now, she was a student in your class.
And when she was in the 6th grade, yeah.
And what did you think of her when she was a student?
Oh, I had quite a bit of trouble with her. She was bordered on the unruly. She was difficult to handle. She was a class clown, always interested in attention for the kids in the room. So she was a handful. There was absolutely no relationship with her at that time.
Okay, when did it start to blossom into a relationship?
As she got older, she kept in contact with me and came by and visited like many, many other students that I had. And later crises set in her life, and she had difficulty at home and so forth. And she was a potential runaway. She tried to run away twice. And when I categorized all the kids I had in school, she was probably the #1 female, top academically, top potential to succeed. And so I guess I kind of stuck my neck out because I was unwilling to see her go down the drain.
So you're saying she was having trouble at home. What kind of trouble was she having?
Difficulty with her parents. She was #1 in her high school class, yet there was constant friction at home.
What kind of friction?
I don't really think I should. It was an abusive environment. And I just want to leave it at that. It was an abusive environment.
So you kind of took her under your wing. You became an advisor to her?
Right. I was also an advisor to her in the 7th grade. It's a school advisor program, you know. And she left the school after the 7th grade. She no longer went to that school.
And where did she go?
She went to other schools, private schools.
And how did your relationship, you were in contact with her, but when did it start to take a romantic turn?
When the pressure was at its maximum and she felt she had to run from home. And she tried that and did that and was placed in a foster home by the state. And her foster parents took over from that point on. Then when she was removed from that foster home because the foster parents got her a driver's license because she had 2 jobs, she was doing very well in school and so forth, the foster parents had a disagreement with the state over the driver's license issue. They were going to take her out of that foster home, and so she ran. So ultimately, they precipitated the run.
And she ran where?
State of Florida.
And how did you two get together?
Well, she contacted me from Florida, let me know where she was.
Well, she ran, okay, did she run to you?
She ran to the state of Florida. She thought she had an uncle in a city in Florida. She knew I had an aunt there. She knew I had relatives there.
So in some way, she was trying to make contact with you.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened when she did?
Well, I was concerned about what had happened to her. So I went to Florida to see her, to meet her. And I didn't like the lifestyle she was leading.
What was wrong with it?
Well, she had dropped out of school and she had a couple of jobs, and I wasn't sure about the setting she was fitting into. So my second trip to Florida that year, I married her.
All right. Now we jump from, we're in Florida, suddenly you're married to her. Suddenly she's a former student, and now she's your wife.
Right.
It seems like an extreme way to try and, I don't know, help somebody. What were you trying to do when you married
Maybe
her?
only extreme because it's probably not heard of. There are probably thousands of cases that border on this, but nobody hears about them. Ours has received a lot of notoriety, so people get an idea of the picture. But there are thousands and thousands and thousands of these cases where teachers and students are successfully married. But all the news today is usually bad news. You seldom hear the good news. For example, I think it's over 70% of all college professors are married to former students or graduate students, which is a pretty hefty percentage. And I think most of those marriages are extremely successful. I know the divorce rate is quite low.
All right, but there was a sort of a hefty age difference between the two of you when you got married. What was it?
29 years. Well, that's a chronological age difference, folks, okay?
Age is only a number, is that
exactly, because she's extremely intelligent. In spite of the fact she only went to 10th grade and quit, she gained acceptance to the local university. She's always got top grades, and now she's a PhD candidate.
All right, well, did you love this young woman when you married her? I mean, you're making it sound like she was
love
almost
is one of those things that develops gradually. If you're crazy about someone, wow, I love that. That's not love, that's infatuation. I didn't have any idea how much I loved her until we got divorced. Then that's when I knew how much I loved her. And that is true of anyone, by the way. That is, in fact, if you talk to most people who are divorced, you'll find out that that is the truth. You never know the value of another person, as a song says, until you've lost that person.
All right, I'm going to ask you to hold your place, because I'm going to turn to Melanie, who's seated next to you, who also has firsthand experience with a student-teacher relationship romance. You were how old when you got involved with
16.
a teacher?
I was a senior. I was 16 years old, and he was 27.
And what was the attraction?
Well, there were healthy attractions and unhealthy. The healthy reasons why I was attracted to him were things like I was very goal and accomplishment-oriented, and he was too. He was witty, he was kind, he was ambitious. Those are the healthy reasons. And he was, to me, gorgeous. The unhealthy reasons were these. I succeeded a lot in high school, and I had never done anything scandalous or bad at all. And it pretty much thrilled me to go out on a scandalous note. I mean, I had just been too perfect for so long that I kind of wanted to change my image a little bit.
You were probably a cheerleader, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
So what? It bothered you to be so good, so you wanted to do something?
Yeah. Yeah, it thrilled me to do something scandalous. It did not thrill me to get caught, which is ultimately what happened. I mean, my parents found out, other teachers found out, you know, and it turned into a basic nightmare. I mean, I never dreamed that anyone would find out until at least I had graduated. We planned on coming out, you know, but we just wanted to wait till I finished. But, you know, rumors started, and we got caught basically before I was able to finish.
Well, let's get back, before we find out how it finished or how it started, who made the first move here?
He did. But it was definitely a love at first sight kind of thing, and we spent tons of time together because I was heavily into musical theater and musical things and rehearsal times and performances. We were together a lot. And he made the first move, but I was definitely receptive to it.
So he made the first move?
Yeah, and yeah, he did. He did.
Okay, looking back on that, do you see anything wrong with that, with a teacher approaching a student?
I think definitely some boundaries were crossed. Definitely. I really, in retrospect, I think that we probably would have been a lot better off had we waited the extra 6 months before we entered into this relationship. It wasn't a nasty or a lewd relationship at all. I mean, I know he loved me, I know I loved him, but I think when you've got families involved and other people involved, you're just better off if it's really meant to be. Just wait until it's an appropriate time in your life. But I don't regret it. I just regret that we jumped into it before it was really you know, an acceptable thing.
Was he a single man?
Oh yeah, he was single.
So he was unattached.
Correct.
And you had this common interest in the musical theater and all that.
Right.
Was it a sexual relationship?
Yes, it was. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that wasn't like the main attraction between the two of us at all. Not at all. I mean, we were really compatible in a lot of ways. And I think that's the one boundary that we definitely should have waited until I graduated, until we crossed that boundary. Yeah.
Did you ever have any discussion with, did he ever say to you, I know this isn't right, but I just can't help myself, and
yes. Yeah. We had that discussion a lot. And at first, I was the one that said, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, we know now at this point I'm going to school in Virginia and you're going to move on to the university level, it doesn't matter. And he was real nervous about it, so I kind of coaxed him into the idea that it was okay. He initiated it, and I'm the one that kept it going.
All right, let me stop and ask the audience. Let's do a reality check here in the audience. Based on what you're hearing, who thinks it's not okay for the teacher to have made the first move? Oh, look at this hand go up back here reluctantly. Why do you think that? Stand up for me.
I think that, I don't think he should have made the first move. He was so much older. It seems like he took advantage of her. I don't think.
Have you ever had this happen with a teacher of yours?
No. I've considered it, but in the long run, I would not have done it. I mean, I've considered just, you know, like teacher crushes or something like that, but I would never do it. And just by looking here, I know it's wrong.
You know it's wrong? Who else, agrees with her? You do? What?
I think the reason why she went for him is because she needed more as a parent. She didn't really love him like as a, you know, like as a boyfriend, or she needed more like because her parents had problems in her house, and you know, she needed somebody like that.
Is that what you were looking for? You weren't looking for a partner, you were looking for somebody who'd take care of you?
Is that addressed to me?
Yeah.
Definitely not. My parents were very involved in my life. I had great parents. I mean, I really loved this guy. He didn't save me or rescue me from anything. I was going to school in Virginia. He was moving on to the university level to teach. I wasn't looking to be rescued. I had a great home life. I loved him, and he loved me.
Anybody here think it's okay for a 16-year-old student to get involved with a 27-year-old teacher? Wait, I see one brave man. He's all the way in the back. I know. We're going to take a break. Let me just get to him. You think it's okay back there? Tell me why.
Well, like she said, she was moving on to the university level, and so was he, and she's getting ready to make her own decision on life, live on dorm and that sort of thing. So I think it's fun. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. Ever happened to you?
No.
Oh, no. Okay, no. All right, well, we took a break in Fred's story. We want to find out, you did go on to marry your former 6th grade student, and we're going to find out what happened to your marriage and more of Melanie's story when we come back. We'll be back.
Here's Larry Posen, president of Beltone.
My parents wanted to help people hear better. That's why they started Beltone over 50 years ago. Today, we continue the tradition of helping people at Beltone centers nationwide.
And again, people come to us with the same concerns.
I hear, but don't understand voices. People mumble.
Beltone's 10-step test will tell you what you're hearing
and what you're not.
Call for this free brochure and a coupon for a free hearing test.
Beltone offers tiny hearing aids like Clear Voice, one of over 60 different models of advanced Beltone hearing aids, custom-made to suit your hearing loss and lifestyle.
Choice is clear. If you or someone you love has trouble hearing clearly, come to Beltone. Outstanding technology, professional advice, an American company.
Call now, 1-800-733-5400 for your free Beltone Guide to Better Hearing and free hearing test coupon. That's 1-800-733-5400.
You can start losing up to 10, 20, 50, even 100 pounds with the powerful new Magic Trim Diet Pill program for only $9.95. This doctor-approved diet pill program works like magic. It's so powerful, you can burn more body fat relaxing all day than sweating through 5 hours of aerobics. Sandra lost 32 pounds in 8 weeks.
I was wearing a size 14. Now, I'm a size 7.
Frank lost an amazing 43 pounds.
It came off quickly. I couldn't believe it. Make the call.
With new Magic Trim, Darlene went from a size 12 to a slim 6.
I lost 26 pounds. Make the call.
Deborah easily lost an incredible 52 pounds.
The pounds just melted off.
Make that call.
Call 1-800-719-4700 to order. We accept all personal check and credit card orders by phone. Call 1-800-719-4700. Remember, have your checkbook or credit card ready when calling.
Back now talking about student-teacher relationships, and we've been talking with Fred and Melanie, and they were both involved in these sort of relationships. Fred is a teacher and Melanie is a student, and we want to make it real clear. The audience pointed this out during the break. The two of you were not involved. Fred's, okay, you're sure about this, right, Fred? Fred's like, I don't know. Okay.
I'm very sure.
All right.
Positive.
Fred, you married this student, and clearly her parents didn't approve of this.
Parents seldom approve of any marriages. Parents didn't approve of my first marriage. They didn't approve of my second. I don't know if they've ever approved of any marriage.
But her parents really didn't approve. Kimberly's parents.
Well, she had constant friction with them. They didn't approve of anything she did or any boyfriend she had. They approved of no one.
Now, how did the marriage go once you two were...
We get along fine, but the public pressure was incessant. And it got to the point where we couldn't go anywhere without having people make snide remarks behind our backs or to our faces. Very few had the guts to talk to our face.
Well, what were the snide comments about? The age difference or about the fact that you had been her former teacher?
I never heard a big deal about the teacher-student thing. It was always the age difference. That was the focal point of most of these problems. Yet, most people aren't acquainted with history because age differences between people in the past have been enormous. In fact, I think the most extreme example I found is a man who was 80, married a girl 18. She was his student, incidentally, and he was a world-famous musician, so nobody dared to question it.
All right, why
it all depends where you are in the ladder of society, you know.
Why didn't your marriage work out?
Because they pounded away at us, which I could care about, but she was very sensitive to it. And she wanted to go to the university, and she was afraid down there that they would persecute her. Evidently, according to her, 3 professors intentionally marked her low, and she challenged that, and her new hero came into the picture, her math prof, who challenged the mark from the other professor and brought it up to what it should have been.
What's her new hero mean?
Her new husband.
Wait a minute, she left you, a former math teacher, for another math teacher?
I guess my math only went so far.
Are you serious? She went on to marry another math prof?
I'm not a math prof. I was just a math teacher. He's a math professor. He's a PhD in math.
All right. And looking back on this relationship, how do you feel about it?
Que sera, sera. If a person's not happy with me, I can't expect them to be married to me. If you're not happy, you should not remain to be married.
All right, except you also had a child.
Yes, that's the only unfortunate thing. This affects the bad effect is on kids. If people part, no problem. But when kids are involved, that is a problem.
All right, you had something you wanted to say.
I don't have a problem with your age, but I do have a problem is that you are a role model for students. That's what you are.
Well, remember, I didn't marry her when I had her in class. I'm adamantly against that. I think, how can a teacher or professor mark a student that they're having a relationship with and be fair to the other people in the class? Impossible.
Regardless,
Impossible.
you are a role model.
Yeah, and
you are a role model.
Exactly.
You are to help her in that situation.
And I agree.
And then keep on walking.
And I agree. And I think teachers are excellent husbands for most people they marry. They're stable, they have secure jobs, and they tend to be good people to stay out of trouble, you know?
Right.
So on the social scale, teachers rate pretty high. And I think most students are lucky to marry them.
All right.
I just think that you're being cynical, and it's foolish. 2 things. One, many parents do approve of marriages in this country, okay? The other thing is, what it boils down to, it's illegal to be engaged with a relationship and eventual sex with a minor. And those laws were set up for that purpose,
First
to
of all,
protect
it's not illegal.
people like this student.
It's not illegal. The age of consent in this country is age 16, by the way. Okay? That's the law. That's the statute.
Maybe it should be raised. He's got to come back for everything.
The age of marriage is 18. The age of consent is 16, okay? Not that that applied to us, but those are the legal facts, okay? Cynicism, that builds from experience. However, if people let us alone, and I just heard that there were extraneous factors from other people impinging on another relationship here, if people mind their own business and let people alone, they'd be a lot happier.
Well, all right, Melanie, what is this about extraneous factors? I need a translator for him.
Well, what I was talking about when I'm talking about when there were families involved is this. I had worked very hard to make my parents proud, myself proud, and instead of being known in my high school as, oh, Melanie Hall, Dean's List, class president, I'm known as the chick who dated the music teacher. And I also had two sisters who went to the same high school in Atlanta, where I'm from, who had to live in the aftermath of what I had done. And you know, I had a good family. They were supportive. They loved me. And of course, eventually I would have come out to them and told them about this relationship.
How did they find out?
The way they found out is this. It's kind of bad. The way they got a hint of it was that one day when this teacher was sick, he called in and left a message for me to take by some aspirin. I was still a student, and he left that message with the school secretary. That was sort of inappropriate, really inappropriate. The way my mom found out for sure that this was going on was when I was in Europe, you know, the summer after my senior year. He had sent me some letters, and as mothers are often wont to do, before I got home from Europe, my mom read it. I mean, you know, it pretty much broke my mother's heart, because what should have been my last summer as her daughter under her roof, you know, it was filled with tension because this relationship had gone on, and I had been lying to her about where I had been my entire senior year, and it was just a bad scene.
Looking back, and we're going to talk more with you, we're going to take another break, but do you regret what happened?
I regret that we did not wait until it was an appropriate thing. I don't regret the relationship. I still love this person. We're great friends.
Is he still in your life?
Yes.
Still in her
But
life?
not, yeah. We're very, very good friends.
All right, another
break. But this
break.
shows society's hypocrisy, because, you know, my ex-wife was #1 in her class.
Me too.
Yet nobody wanted to mention her success. They only wanted to hop on her for what they considered to be her failure. So that is our hypocritical society.
I can agree with that point. That's one of the only
they agree on that. We're going to take another break. Next, a man who seduced his high school art teacher when he was 17 years old. Today, he's still angry that she didn't resist his advances. He'll tell us why when we return. We'll be back.
On Fridays, Jane Whitney. She's got talent, poise, and great looks. A beauty queen, yes, but...
Anatomically, you are what?
I'm a man.
Meet Miss Gay USA, but her handsome hunk boyfriend is straight.
Are you heterosexual or homosexual?
Heterosexual. I like women.
They're America's most beautiful, most baffling couple. Plus the stars of other gay pageants. It's Something Wild on Jane Whitney Friday.
That's good. You want to hear something stupid? My Uncle George sold his house because a family that was a different color moved in next door. Then he sold another house because a family that was a different religion moved in next door. Then he sold another house because a family that was from a different country moved in next door. Now my Uncle George lives in a neighborhood where everyone is just like him. Sounds kind of boring.
In New England, news happens around the clock.
President Bill Clinton is wrapping up his trip to Boston.
There's some developments in Waco, Texas.
An explosion rocked the World Trade Center today.
Now, New England's best source for news around the clock brings you more news on weekends.
Not since the blizzard of '78 have we seen
News Center 5 midday. Now on Saturdays and Sundays at noon.
The Patriots have drafted Drew Bledsoe.
7 days a week. New England's best source for news around the clock is WCVB's News Center 5.
I can tell you what it's like to go hungry. I can tell you what it's like to sleep on the street. I can tell you what it's like to be beaten. I can tell you what it's like to be raped. But thanks to Rosie's Place, I can also tell you what it's like to survive. I think I'd rather tell you about that.
I like to set the pace. I like to make the call. Yeah! I like in your face.
I like Texas, y'all.
I like making the goal and lose his fight. But most of all, I like to hit when I'm skating around. Mike's a hit when I'm knocking them down.
Mike's a hit. Unless I'm on the mound. But I like Mike.
I like Mike.
are still dealing with the emotional fallout of a teacher-student love affair. Joining us now is Sam. When he was a junior in high school, he fell in love with his art teacher. She responded to his advances and they became romantically involved. Today, Sam feels his teacher betrayed him, that he was a victim. Now, you went after her? How can you feel like a victim?
Because she didn't, she let it, well, she let my advances, you know, penetrate her moral ethics as a teacher, and she didn't, you know, she didn't do something about it.
So you feel she was in a position of authority, and basically she should have had, she should have said no, is basically what she should have said. How did this?
Well, she did say no, but then I kept on, and she could have went to the principal, you know, to
and reported
to the superintendent.
you?
Yeah.
How did you came on to her how?
By flirting with her.
You were flirting?
Yeah, flirting and, you know, talking to her, trying to go see her at her house and going to her house.
And what would she say to you?
She would tell me no, that this is not right, because she was a teacher and I was a student, and it wasn't right. And I said, you know, so what, you know? I mean.
You didn't see anything wrong with it at that point. All right, so what happened that the two of you actually got together and she wound up succumbing to this?
She had a party one night for her senior class, and I invited myself and got real drunk and woke up after everybody left because I had passed out, and called her upstairs to the bedroom, and she came in there, and I started, you know, telling her to sit down, you know, and talk to me and lay down, and then I was going to do this and do that, and she said, no, you're not, and I said, yes, I am, and I did.
Was she consenting? When I mean, there's something sexual going on.
Yeah, you know, she didn't try to resist or nothing. She just, you know, she said, no, you're not, and I said, yes, I am, watch, and I did, and, you know, she didn't try to stop me or, you know, and that's how that started.
So this kicked off this love affair you two had, and you would see each other and have encounters? And where would you go?
Her house. I'd go stay with her, you know, overnight, and some nights I wouldn't.
And how old was this woman?
She was 31.
And unmarried?
No, she was divorced, had 2 kids.
And where were the 2 kids while this was going on?
They were there with her at her house.
They were in the house while you were with her? Now,
every day and every night that, you know, I was there, you know, the kids were there.
How long did this go on with this teacher?
For about 9 months.
And what happened?
My mom got suspicious because she found some letters and stuff that the teacher had.
Those letters, all right, yeah, okay. Mom found letters?
Letters and other evidence, you know, physical evidence and stuff. She had bought me and given to me. And she started, you know, keeping an eye on me, and, you know, I'd leave every day at a certain time, and she asked me one day where I was going, and I told her I was going to my friend's house. Well, she called my friend's house and talked to his mom, and his mom said, no, you know, he hasn't been over here in a long time, you know. And so she got suspicious of that, and
put it all together, obviously. Was your mother, what was her reaction to this?
She was very, very angry, very angry.
Why was she angry?
Because I was having an affair with the teacher.
And she saw something wrong with that?
Oh, yes. Seducing a minor, I was 17, and in Texas, where I'm from, the age limit then was 21, as, you know, as far as an adult.
Let me just check in here with, I'm just curious, you don't, law aside, this is a teacher who's teaching him at this point.
Yeah, bad news. It's not, it's, whenever you establish a relationship with a pupil in your class, there's no way you can be objective and fair to the other people in the class.
So that's your only concern is objectivity?
Absolutely, because as a teacher, you have to be objective. You have to be fair to all people concerned.
All right. What happened when this all blew up and became public?
Went to the school board, before the school board, superintendent and members of the school board, and the principal and the assistant principal, and it all came out. And they asked me, you know, what was going on, and I told them. And she denied everything, and
She denied everything?
She denied everything.
She denied the affair?
The affair, the letters and stuff, until the letter was presented to her, to the school board as evidence, and then, you know, she couldn't deny it then.
Did you really think you had a future with this woman?
No, not really. I mean, I was on top of the world because I was 17, you know, and I was having an affair with, you know, with my high school art teacher, and nobody else was doing that. But yet, you know, I didn't know where it would lead or, you know, what would happen.
Did you love her?
I thought I did, yeah.
Did she ever tell you she loved you?
Oh, yes, yeah. Every night in bed, you know, we were in bed making love, you know, I love her.
Okay, so when this came out, this affected you? I mean,
I had a nervous breakdown. I had to go to the hospital, and they had to sedate me. And for 2 weeks afterwards, I sat, you know, in my parents' home and cried every day, listening to Al Green. Wouldn't eat, wouldn't do nothing. I was, you know, I was devastated that she denied everything.
And you're 35 years old now.
Right.
And you're still affected by this?
Yeah, because I haven't had, I have problems with relationships. I sabotage my relationships because I'm fearful of rejection.
And you really track it back to this relationship with the teacher?
Yes.
All right. The audience is being a little cynical. We're going to find out what that's about, okay? I heard you out there. All right. We're going to take a break. Still to come, the student who says she was betrayed by the very first man she ever loved, her high school guidance counselor. During the 5 years they were involved, she even gave birth to his child. Her story's coming up. We'll be back.
They swear they were caught on the casting couch, but the talent agent's wife says otherwise.
It was done for publicity.
On Jane Whitney, Monday.
This is a commercial for men. It's about men living longer, looking younger, feeling stronger. It's about Men's Health, the only magazine devoted to what men are concerned about most. Every issue has easy ways to eat smarter, exercise better, boost energy levels, and look and feel great. Learn how to flatten your stomach without dieting and how to reduce the signs of aging. Discover aphrodisiacs that rev up your sex life and reviews of the latest sports equipment. And now, 101 Men's Health Secrets free when you call for your trial subscription to Men's Health. Find the secret 10 pounds fast, cutting your cholesterol 30 in 30 days, lasting sex. For your free book and 10 issues of $17.97, call this toll-free number. You can cancel anytime for a full refund and still keep the book. Try Men's Health today. It's about you, your health, your looks. Isn't it about time?
Was I surprised when my dentist told me I had a tartar problem? Doctor, I said, I brush with baking soda and peroxide. He said, those aren't tartar-fighting ingredients, so your teeth aren't as clean as they could be. Use Tartar Control Crest. But doctor, I said, shouldn't I use baking soda and peroxide for my gums? Pete, he said, they're not proven to do anything special for your gums either. So I used Crest. And my tartar problem? No problem.
Tartar Control Crest. It's proven to fight tartar buildup. It's the dentist's choice.
No more surprises for me.
Compare the leading multivitamin to General Nutrition Center's Ultra Mega 2. We've got 3 times their antioxidants, more beta-carotene, more vitamin C, more E, all for just 32 cents a day. Ultra Mega 2, only from GNC. Cybertrim at General Nutrition Centers can tighten and tone a body. Its diet plan, exercise program, and nutritional supplements help give you the body you want.
It can.
Now, 3% more at GNC.
If you're caught in a love triangle and you don't know how to get out of it, please call 1-800-370-2712.
When Brenda was 19, she fell in love for the first time with a man who also happened to be her high school guidance counselor. Together they had a child, but in the end, the guidance counselor stayed with his wife. And Brenda feels she was betrayed and manipulated by the man she loved and trusted. With Brenda right now is her fiancé. We want to make that very clear. The fiancé, not the guidance counselor. Okay, we've got Marcus here.
Hey, he's an ugly guy, man.
They're all going, because they read about this in the papers. They're all going, who's this guy? Who's this guy?
I showed somebody the paper clip and they said, that's you? No, that's not me, people.
All right.
Not me.
Let's find out, because you were 19 years old when this relationship started, Brenda. How did it start?
I was a student at high school redirection in Brooklyn, New York. I really got to know him at evening at Ravenhall High School at night. That's where I really got to know him. Well, it was one day I was going to my class, and the teacher was going to mark me absent because I didn't have the book. So I said, ain't no sense of me sitting in the class. So I got up and I left, and I started just walking in the hallway, and then I happened to come past the guidance counselor's office, and I was like, I had seen my guidance counselor, my high school guidance counselor. I was like, oh, you work here too at night? He said, yeah, just a part-time job. And I was telling him what the teacher told me, that he was going to mark me absent because I didn't have the book. So he said I could sit in his office until my next class. So I sat in his office, and we just started talking. And ever since then, we just started talking to each other.
Well, but now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, this went beyond talking, yes?
Yeah. He started driving me to the bus stop, me and another girl. And then he started driving me home. He used to drop me, because he was going in that direction, he started driving me home from school.
Yeah, I bet.
And then,
And did you have a crush on this man? Did you have feelings for this man?
As it went on, I did.
Yeah?
I started caring about him. And I didn't.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. Brenda, you started caring about the guy. You was trusting him, you know, because he was telling you a lot of things you didn't know. So, you know, this guy had an ulterior motive behind it, you know. And it's just like he started taking her home and stuff like that. Tell him about the night he grabbed you and kissed you. She was in shock herself. I mean, you know, here's a guy that's supposed to be teaching her things and stuff, like giving her guidance, and here he is taking them home.
I was shocked when he dropped me off one night and he grabbed me and he started kissing on me. I couldn't say nothing to him because I wasn't expecting that to happen. And the next day when I went to the school, I avoided him the whole day. I wouldn't go nowhere near his office. I just tried to avoid him. I didn't want to see it. Then he ran into me in the hallway. He said, Brenda, can you come in my office? And I said, sure. And he started apologizing to me, saying he was sorry. He didn't mean to do that. If he hurted me in any way.
Step into my lair, set the spotty to the fly.
All
That's
right.
what he did.
So after he apologized, did you continue to let him drive you home? Did you?
Oh, it was very friendly with each other. We seemed like we became closer after that.
After that incident?
Yeah.
Well, you became so close that, in fact, you became pregnant by him?
Yes.
That's close, right?
I had an abortion and a miscarriage by him.
All right, so you're pregnant more than once?
Yes.
How many times were you pregnant by him?
Twice.
You're missing something here. This guy, okay, once they got close, she started telling him, you know, her personal problems and stuff like that, and things that were real personal to her. And once he told her that she was a virgin, he didn't believe it. That's when he escalated his efforts. Okay, and then, you know, it's just like sending a kid to a candy store and telling him everything is free. He just jumped right into it.
Okay, but after...
I mean, it sounds funny, but,
No,
you know, that's
doesn't
what
sound
was
funny
on
at
his
all.
mind, because he's that type of person.
All right, but did you want to have the abortion?
No, he wanted me to have it. At the beginning, yeah, I did. I did because I was still in high school and I wasn't ready.
All right, he wanted you to have the abortion. Was he married?
Yes. I didn't know at the time, but...
Did you ask him if he was married?
No.
How'd you find out he was married?
Because I saw him and his wife.
Did you keep going out with him after that? After you saw his wife?
Yeah.
Did you at least confront him and fuss at him about it? Or do you just went along and just kind of let him have his cake and eat it too?
Yeah.
Girl, no way.
All right, well... Obviously, though, you had to have some feelings for this guy.
I did.
Now, you did become pregnant a third time.
Uh-huh.
And you carried that child to term.
Yes.
And you had a child with this man.
Yes.
And at that point, how are you feeling about him? What's he saying to you?
He used to tell me all these dreams, told me he was leaving his wife and all of this. He didn't want me with nobody else. He just wanted me.
Now, let's get to the hardcore stuff. This guy...
There's more?
Yeah, this guy used to come home during the lunch hour just to be with her and do what he, you know, do his thing. He wasn't even interested in the kid at the time when the kid was born already, you know what I'm saying? He used to come home on his lunch hour, and after work, Didn't want her to have no company, no fellas, no nothing. Didn't even want her to be with her family. You know, and this is the way the guy was treating her. She started feeling a little apprehensive, you know. She's a little shy with it, but I'm telling you, she talks to me. She started feeling apprehensive about it, and it started to get to her because he promised her that he would leave his wife. But that's not what he did, and it's the age-old thing, man. A man's not gonna leave his wife.
All right, we're gonna find out, though, how it ended after we come back. We'll be back.
The state says their marriage is null and void because she has AIDS.
The law should be stricken yesterday.
On Jane Whitney, Tuesday.
I took diet pills. I lost 34 pounds.
6 months later, the weight came back.
That's when I decided to get off the diet roller coaster and get on a Nordic Track.
In fact, Nordic Track is so easy to stick with that after 5 years, 7 out of 10 Nordic Track owners still use their Nordic Track skiers an average of 3 times a week.
It's been more than 2 years. The weight's still off, and I'm still on my Nordic Track. You should give Nordic Track a try.
Call now for a free video and brochure. Weight off and keep it off. Nordic Track introduces the Weight Loss Satisfaction Guarantee. Research shows that Nordic Track's total body workout burns more calories than exercisers that only work your legs. Discover what numerous customers have found. With regular exercise on Nordic Track, you can take weight off and keep it off. And we're so confident you'll lose weight too, we guarantee it. We'll guarantee that you'll lose at least 10 pounds in 60 days or your money back. Call now for a free video and brochure. Ask about our 60-day Weight Loss Satisfaction Guarantee.
You know your NyQuil works. What'd you do? You tried the latest thing, so you coughed all night. Got no rest. Ended up a zombie. And you're to the world's most demanding boss? Postponed until tomorrow, which means you can take NyQuil tonight. You're stupid, Dave, but lucky.
Vicks NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine. Also new NyQuil Hot Therapy.
What do you have? A jelly sandwich, chipsy noodles, and a box of purple stuff. How about you?
Twisties and a chocolate bar.
I've got a turkey sandwich, banana yogurt, and a bottle of Sunny Delight.
You've got Sunny Delight?
You can't fit Sunny Delight in a lunchbox.
Sunny Delight Singles. The same vitamins as Big Sunny Delight, with a delicious citrus taste kids love.
How'd your mom get it to shrink? Magic.
Oh, yeah. Magic.
Sunny Delight Singles. The good stuff kids go for.
Fact, through Monday only at Fredder. All best-selling audio speakers are on sale. All best-selling GE and Maytag washers and dryers are on sale. This GE 19-inch color TV is now just $177. And through Monday only, get 0% financing. 0% on our best-selling 30-inch and larger TVs. And on our best-selling home computers. But hurry, it all ends Monday. It's always better to buy at Fredder. If anyone claims otherwise, there's no way.
We'd like to hear from you. Send your letter in care of Jane Whitney, Columbus Circle, Post Office Box 20314, New York, New York, 10023. We're back now talking about student-teacher romances, and you had something you wanted to say.
I just want to speak to the gentleman here. I don't know his name, and the young lady there. With the gentleman, if you're 35 now and you're having problems because of what happened then, can you imagine what you did to that lady and her children at that time? Even though you may have been young, I believe nowadays, 17, you know the difference. Also, if you were able to have an abortion and a miscarriage and you knew this man was married and you went ahead and kept going with the situation, then you should know right now that, you know, that was on you. That was your call. I've been in this situation before, and it's not just up to it's up to the teacher to go around the other way too. But besides being a student and a teacher, everybody's human.
All right.
Jane.
We're not letting you off the hook, Sam,
Jane,
yeah.
I didn't do, whatever happened to her, she created it herself. Because she could have stopped.
No? Why not? What, she talked him into it? Doesn't it take two, folks? Yeah? All right. What? Stand up here.
I'd like to address this to Sam. I teach school. You were wrong.
to begin with. The teacher was wrong. But then you said that she said no. So she was telling you no, and you went ahead. It's rape.
But she was telling me no.
Wait a minute.
She was telling me no, but she didn't mean no, because if she had meant no, then it wouldn't have happened.
Now, wait a second. Let me just, because I was trying to explore that line of questioning when we were dealing with it. The point is, she continued to have sex with this young man on a consensual basis.
Right, she was wrong.
She was wrong, but the point is that rape charges were not brought up against him. Let's be really clear about that. Stand up quickly.
You talked about going to the school board. Are you suing the school board? Are
What
you
now?
suing the school board? You talked about going to the school board?
Okay, I didn't take it to the school board. My parents did.
Well,
my mother was the one that initiated all that happened to her.
Is it a suit now? Did you sue them? Did you get any?
No, I didn't. No.
There was no suit involved. Okay,
No.
stand up.
I would like to address this to Fred. Fred, I would like to say to you, I believe you persuaded that young lady even from 6th grade. And you better be glad that wasn't my daughter, because I would have killed you.
How about the second guy? He persuaded too? The second guy persuaded too? All right, she snagged 2 teachers in a row. She's just a dumb little girl who's got an IQ of about 160, okay?
All right.
But she was smart enough to fool the second guy too then.
Well, you wasn't smart at all, because you was 29 and she was
You don't know the
in the
difference
6th grade.
between
and
doing
I believe
somebody...
You molested that child from the 6th grade all the way through.
You know,
you can talk all you want. You molested
you don't know
that
the
kid.
difference.
And as I said,
Look,
you better be glad it
You're
wasn't
showing
my
your
daughter.
ignorance. You really are. You don't know the difference
Calm
between
down.
saving a kid and throwing a kid away.
All right.
Exactly, I will. That's what it's worth.
I'd like to associate myself with the comments of this lady here. She came to you for help. She was emotionally unstable, and you took advantage of it. Have you ever had relationships with adults?
Wait a minute.
Or
Get
do you
the
stick to
facts
kids?
straight, will ya? She was,
Relationships
listen,
with
I had her in
adults?
the 6th grade. Straighten it out in your mind. I didn't marry her until she was out of high school. Wake up. Get the perspective right in time.
All right, let me just translate. They're saying she was emotionally vulnerable, and basically that you manipulated the situation.
Nonsense. One of the family court judges referred to her as being a highly manipulative person. Now, here's a guy that sees all kinds of kids in that age bracket, okay? So get the facts straight.
Okay, another break. We'll be back. We'll be back. I know. What?
If you're going to be in the New York area and would like free tickets to our show, please call 1-800-771-2700.
On Fridays, Jane Whitney. She's got talent, poise, and great looks. A beauty queen, yes, but...
Anatomically, you are what?
I'm a man.
Meet Miss Gay USA, but her handsome hunk boyfriend is straight.
Are you heterosexual or homosexual?
Heterosexual. I like women.
They're America's most beautiful, most baffling couple. Plus the stars of other gay pageants. It's Something Wild on Jane Whitney Friday.
Yeah, I would say I was a natural clown all my life. The costume brings the clown to life. I want them to see a clean clown. Cake, punch, pudding. It's on me, it's on them. I ruined costumes. It took me quite a while to figure out what worked.
Tide with Bleach works on your white and colorful clothes. Regular detergents leave in what Tide with Bleach gets out.
Whites have to pop. They make the colors pop.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide.
If I can't get it clean, it's not funny.
Hi, Holly. Wow, she looks great.
I couldn't wear that.
Sort of busy right now.
Ask her.
For a limited time, Weight Watchers Foods will give you $10 for losing 10 pounds.
Hey, Holly, did you change your hair? Here she comes, and there she goes.
It's called the Lose 10 Pounds America Challenge.
Who's she? Is she new?
Holly, could I borrow $10?
But do it for yourself, not for the money.
In the American legal system, citizens who have been wrongfully injured can be represented by the very best lawyers. In the high-stakes game of personal injury law, Boston attorney Thomas Kiley is known as the $1 Million Man. Kiley's firm has won for its clients some of the largest awards in Massachusetts history for injuries caused by defective products, malpractice, motor vehicles, or catastrophic accidents.
Where you been?
Get your coffee.
Cream, no sugar?
Like always.
'Cause that's the way I like it.
and bring her that way 65 years.
The Salvation Army visits thousands of people who are on their own.
It's right, Joe. I'll tell you if it's all right. Don't you come over here and tell me how I like my coffee.
And they thank us in their own way.
What are you doing?
The Salvation Army. After help, there's hope.
Audience wants to talk about student-teacher relationships, and what do you have to say?
Well, my comment really is to Brenda. It's not much of a question, but I was just curious as to her home life because she seems to be such an insecure young woman. It's as if she couldn't defend herself before, and now she still can't defend herself because Marcus is doing most of the speaking.
Okay, well, all right. Jane.
Let me answer that right now, okay? All right. For that young lady, first of all, right, she's been insecure because of what this guy was doing to her, all right? It's been a lot of things in her life that she's been positive about, but this one particular thing bothers her, and it bothers her relationships after he was with him. And I'm not trying to seem like I'm trying to take up for her or defend her all the time, but there are things that are dear to me because they're dear to her, and I look after her, and if there's something wrong with that, then maybe you should find somebody to look after you.
It's been very noticeable. Hold on one second.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Believe me, you're doing the right thing.
You know, I'm looking out for her. That's my woman, man.
Okay, but Brenda, do you take any responsibility at all in what went on with it? I mean, it was 5 years you were involved with this man. Do you ever think about maybe how you could have handled it differently?
I don't know, the man was my first, and I was just in love with him. For that girl back there, I did not have 2 abortions. I had 1 abortion and 1 miscarriage.
Jane.
Okay.
All right, you're not on mic back there, please.
He made me have that abortion.
All right.
But Jane...
All right.
The whole time I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, yes, some boundaries were definitely crossed, and especially to y'all, and maybe for me too, but, I mean, in order, like, have you heard of the concept of tough love? I mean, if you want to get better and you want to move on, you have to do it. You have to heal yourself. You have to get the therapy that you want, whatever you need. I don't know what it is, but it's like you got to get over it. You can just sit around and wallow about the boundaries that were crossed, or you can, like, say, yes, this is terrible that this happened. I didn't deserve it. I'm just going to move forward and forge ahead and learn from it. Instead of sit around and wallow in it.
I do not want to condemn anybody. I come from a country where love is supreme. I've been a teacher for more than 3 decades. And during this time, I had the students write me love note, invite me for dinner, wanting me to go to dinner with them and so forth. But I was educated to be a teacher. And a teacher, we have a mission to educate the students.
You never took them up on the offer?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, a girl who came to knock to my door, I refused her. The principal of the school took advantage of her. Now, my conclusion is this, that any kind of relation between teacher and students on the sexual level is despicable, disgusting, and condemnable.
He's a teacher. We'll be back.
You're watching our guests talking about their own life experiences. If you have a personal story that you'd like to share with our show, please call 1-800-370-2712.
Between passion and honor.
If you ever try to take Marilyn back, you'll have to kill me first.
between friendship and duty.
There is something wrong with the whole system, Maury. We are sick and tired of Yankees coming down here and telling us how to run our lives.
Between love and betrayal
Oh, you must hate me for leaving you the way I did.
is the unforgettable drama of North and South, the critically acclaimed miniseries of the decade, yours only from Time Life Video. Relive the epic saga of two powerful American families, drawn together by friendship and torn apart by war.
Get out of here, Billy, before I have to kill you. Before I have to kill you!
Brought to life by a star-studded cast. Call this toll-free number now and start with your first 90-minute episode for just $4.99. Feel the fire of passion, the anger of betrayal,
Billy Hanses, you're not going to run away from me again, are you?
as far as I can get, and the power of a love that wouldn't die.
The day I met you was the day I was born.
Critics call North and South the Gone with the Wind of television, bona fide entertainment, and a mini-series that's worthy of the name.
Your mother sold herself to men for money.
Call now to get your first episode for the special introductory price of just $4.99. Collect them all, or keep only the ones you want. There's never a commitment to buy. The passion and the pain. The romance and revenge. The story of two families in love and war.
You take me back?
Relive it in North and South. Here's how to order.
To order your episode 1 of North and South, call 1-800-328-4100. That's 1-800-328-4100. Or send $4.99 plus $3.43 shipping and handling to North and South, Department 1, Richmond, Virginia, 23280.
Today, few things are more stressful than the pressures of parenthood. And it's not usually one big crisis that does you in. It's all those little hassles that gradually build and build and build until you have to blow off some steam. And you just hope and pray you won't do anything you'll regret.
Before you do anything to your child, do something for yourself. Call Parents and Children's Services Parental Stress Line.
Close out the show on student-teacher romances. What do you want to say?
I think the main thing that everybody's forgetting that these were young people. They were 15, 16, 17, 18, and they were impressionable, and they shouldn't have been able, these adults in authority should not have been able to take advantage of minutes that way. And I really think that this audience is wrong.
And we're responsible for getting ourselves better. Yes, it's terrible that these things happen, but again, I want to emphasize, in order for us to get better, we're adults, don't we have to take responsibility?
Yes, that's right. You do have to take responsibility, but nobody should get on you because you made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes, and they should not get on you for it.
And I made a mistake that I will never forget.
This man has my child. I'm going to a custody battle now.
Who has your child?
Trying to get my son from him.
What? He has your child?
Yes, he do. I'm going to custody battle now.
Yeah, and the judge based it solely on the financial assets they have. Him and his wife make a lot more than Brenda, and he decided that the kids should stay with them, even though his wife hates Brenda, and the kid's already in the agitated
And my son
situation.
is calling her mommy.
Right.
All right, now, he's still with his wife, and they have your son. He does not have his job any longer, however.
No, that didn't stop him from working. He's been working all over the place.
All right, but he's not a high school guidance counselor anymore, is that correct?
They took away his license. He shouldn't be teaching in the state of New York.
And I'm not the only one who he did this to. It's another girl, too, my cousin. But she did not come on the show.
All right. Brenda opens up here. Okay. Go ahead.
I think whether right or wrong, I don't think the public should get involved until they hear all the facts. There might be some hidden information, and they shouldn't start jumping down these people's throat until they hear all the facts.
Teachers are public figures. They should be trapped when they do stuff like that.
Wait a minute.
They had a good judgment.
Why are teachers public figures? They may be role models, but they're not...
They're the second most influential person in your life besides your mother and father, and they shouldn't be yielding their power like that.
Going out on a strong statement. Okay, now everyone agrees. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We're out of time. Have a great day. We'll see you back here. Take care. For a transcript of our show, please send $5 along with the program name, subject, and air date to Burrell's Transcripts, Post Office Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039. For a video cassette, call 1-800-4-VIDEO.
When buying a home, you want reliable service from your mortgage company. At Barnett Mortgage, we promise sincere personal attention, and according to Money Magazine, Barnett offers the lowest rates in Boston. Add courteous and efficient service, and you'll see why Barnett is Boston's best mortgage company. Where's the best place to play with Mom or Dad? Tot Stop. Fantastic play spaces designed for active, creative fun, even for your littlest ones. You'll rely on Tot Stop whenever you need a break. Tot Stop, Museum Place, Salem, Foster Street, Arlington.
Car companies used to talk down to women, but we've come a long way. You need help buying or fixing a car? This ex-Don has 3 commandments for female car buyers. Yes, this woman is now selling cars. He'll tell us how he was forced to make a living ripping off women. Find out what your car says about your personality.
With a black car, that really says power and stability and confidence.
It also says it's hard to keep clean. On the next Oprah.
Today at 5 on Channel 5.
People suffering from serious depression need their family and friends to step in. For free material, call 1-800-421-4211. That's 1-800-421-4211.
Chet Curtis and Natalie Jacobson, weeknights on New England's News Center 5.
Following is a rebroadcast of News Center 5.
You're watching WCVB-TV, New England's television news leader.
She's out of the hospital, but is she out of the competition? Are Nancy Kerrigan's Olympic hopes on ice? The man who defined local politics returns to his political home for a final time. Massachusetts mourns the Speaker of the House. And Mother Nature's Winter Carnival returns to town for a weekend engagement.
Now, Chet Curtis, Natalie Jacobson, Dick Albert with weather, and Mike Lynch on sports. This is News Center 5 tonight.
You know, it's not the most important thing, skating, so if I can't, I'll have to deal with it. But, you know, I'm okay, and it could have been a lot.
Stoneham's Nancy Kerrigan just hours after she was battered by a spectator in a stunning attack in Detroit. Can she behind her? Good evening. Welcome to this delayed edition of News Center 5 Tonight. I'm Jack Harper.
And I'm Susan Warnick. Chet and Natalie have the night off. Tonight, Nancy Kerrigan's dreams of Olympic gold were jeopardized by a violent assault in Detroit.
Kerrigan had just finished practicing for the U.S. National Championships when she was attacked by a man who bludgeoned her legs. Sports Center 5's Mike Lynch is here with the very latest. Mike?
Well, Jack, apparently the assailant was in the stands watching her practice, and some people actually claim the man was videotaping some of the practice. When the practice was over, the man walked behind a curtain as Kerrigan was giving an interview. He hacked her across the right knee and thigh with an object that resembled a cane or a tire iron. Now, this tape you are about to view was shot moments after that attack.
What is it? Take off my skate, it hurts! Please take off my skate! Why am I gonna skate?
What happened? You said some guy hit her. Hit her? The man hit her.
That's the question still being asked tonight. Why? Immediately after the attack, Nancy's dad scooped her into his arms, and they went off to a cab and headed to the hospital. Meanwhile, the assailant fled through this plexiglass window after he kicked it out. He is still at large tonight.
When I was getting off the ice from practice, I was walking toward the locker rooms away from the ice, and someone was running behind me, and I started to turn, and all I could see was this guy swinging something maybe like this long, this thick black. It looked maybe like, I don't know what it was. I didn't get a good look. It happened so fast. Maybe like crowbar or billy club or something. And anyway, it was really hard. And I didn't get a good look because he kept running so fast away from me. And I heard he went through the door to get away.
A little more on that interview with Nancy Kerrigan coming up in sports, and she will tell us about her physical condition and whether or not she plans to skate tomorrow. As you saw in the video, her dad, Dan, is with her. Her mother, Brenda, is out there in Detroit as well. And when news of the attack reached her home in Stoneham, Nancy's 2 brothers headed for Logan Airport.
and a flight to be with their sister. Steve Sprazier is in Nancy's hometown of Stoneham, where she spent an awful lot of her skating life. Stephen?
Well, Mike, the Stoneham Arena where we are right now is very close to Nancy Kerrigan's home, but this really was her second home, as you can see by the sign over my shoulder here. This arena here is where she spent so many hours practicing, and the people who skate here at the Stoneham Arena, well, they sort of consider themselves Nancy Kerrigan's extended family. And as you indicated, when word of the attack first occurred, her family did leave home to head to Logan Airport. But the folks here, her extended family in Stoneham, why they reacted in horror. The Olympic logo on the Kerrigan home stood in mute pride to Nancy's accomplishments. It's that same pride her neighbors have for her. And for them, the news that she was attacked was just unbelievable.
Scary world. I mean, it's getting to the point where you almost need a security guard to walk around.
The fact that she was attacked in the middle of an ice skating rink makes it even more unbelievable, especially for a woman who judged her many times in the past.
This is so unthinkable. I mean, it's just, can't imagine anyone. It's devastating.
Neighbor Gene Fields has known Nancy all of her life, and he worries about the psychological impact that the attack will have on her.
No, it's going to be tough. I don't know how to respond to it. How do you respond to having to go out there in the public eye all the time and knowing somebody out there trying to whack you with a bat or whatever it was that they tried to hit her with? You know, it's awful. Absolutely awful.
Her family also worries about what happens next.
I guess the worst case would be not skating this weekend and being disqualified to compete in the Olympics because of this.
At the Stoneham Arena, where Nancy's name is proudly emblazoned on the wall, those who watch the young skater practice for hours keep asking why.
Oh, I've known her a long time. I just think it's sad that, you know, her career could possibly be in jeopardy just because of some guy. I mean, she was inside of a hockey rink with, you know, Olympic skaters. I mean, can't believe no one could catch this guy, you know. I mean, no one could prevent it, catch anything, no security whatsoever. I mean, the guy obviously had a bat. It's not exactly a concealed weapon or anything.
I think it's real sick. It's like you mentioned Monica Seles. Same thing happened to her. I put that in the same boat. It's just a shame. It's a real shame. Something could happen at an ice rink. And it could happen here, too.
Now, all evening long, as we've been coming in and out of the Stoneham Arena, people have been asking us, do we know anything about Nancy's condition? Do we know if she's going to skate? When they found out that she was going to try and skate tomorrow, the folks who play here and skate here had only one thing to say, and that was, good luck, Nancy. Good luck tomorrow. Reporting live, I'm Steve Sprazier, News Center 5. Michael?
All right, Stephen, thank you very much. And the other big question, of course, is how will this affect Nancy's chances of making the United States Olympic team? Remember, you have to finish first or second in the United States Figure Skating Championships in order to qualify. That is a rule. We'll address that issue when we come back in sports and try to answer some of the questions to see if Nancy has a chance if she does not skate.
All right, Mike.
Okay, Mike, in other news now, for the second time this week, New England is getting a big winter wallop, and before the weekend's through, we may get hit again and again and again. The snow is piling up quickly out there tonight, and already some roads are growing dangerous. But get used to this picture, folks, because falling snow is about all we're going to see for the next few days. And to find out how bad it is and is going to be, our meteorologist Ellen Ferrara joins us now from the Weather Office. Ellen?
Thanks, Susan. We really can't compare this storm to the last one. We have a much different snow situation here. It's the lighter, fluffier snow, easier for most of us to handle as far as shoveling goes, but certainly enough to slicken up the roadways, and the morning commute is going to be slow, so you will want to allow yourself some extra time. Let's get a check at live storm scan radar, and now most of our weather watchers within the past hour or so have been reporting about 1 to 2 inches of new snow. A few bursts of heavy snow, though, can be expected later tonight. You can see the outer Cape not seeing a whole lot of steady activity, but the rest of us will. A steady snow that will continue through tonight and also probably through at least the first half of tomorrow. We are looking at several inches accumulation by morning. Again, already 1 to 2 out there right now. I think by the morning rush, about 4 to 5 inches in the Boston area will occur, and we'll still be looking at more of that snow accumulating through about lunchtime, then beginning to taper off. A whole nother situation's on the way for Friday night and Saturday when another developing low-pressure system to our south will be moving up over the area. The exact storm track will depend what we get out of this one. Right now, it looks as though we could see some icing here Friday night and at least into the first part of Saturday. So more treacherous traveling conditions on the way through the weekend. I'll be back with all the forecast details in just a few minutes. Susan?
Okay, Ellen, as the white snow piles up across the Boston area, cities and towns are seeing red. Already, some snow budgets are dwindling. Plows and sanders are out on the roads again tonight for the third time in the past few days, and they have only just begun to fight. The way these storms are coming, snow removal funds may soon be on the critical list.
In Quincy, like other communities, they're ready, not only for tonight's storm, but for whatever we get this weekend.
It's off to a wild and crazy time.
The DPW is taking delivery of truckloads of salt, which will be used to keep the roads clear. To the crews, this winter storm after storm after storm is good economically.
Everybody likes it. You know, they're enjoying it. It's a little overtime after Christmas. I get to pay all their bills.
But the money that pays the bills for DPW workers has to come from somebody's budget, and local municipal leaders are concerned about their snow and ice budgets evaporating so early in the season.
I have a bad feeling about this winter. You get a sense that we're going to have a lot of snow and a lot of cold weather, and we're really going to dig deeply into the budget.
We must do a good job of snow removal. That money, instead of going into a worthwhile program for education, is going right down the drain.
And a reminder, if you're up early, we'll have complete coverage of the storm for you. We'll bring you a special 5 a.m. forecast tomorrow. And then on the Eye Opener News at 5:30, a series of special reports on road conditions, snow emergencies, and any possible school closings. But we want to tell you now, we don't have any school closings at this point. Join us then.
See you at 5. Much more ahead tonight. Before that, Mike Barnacle will join us, and he'll be remembering Tip O'Neill.
Speaker of the House, man of the people.
Stupid. 2 girls in my class started this club that I don't want to join. They call themselves the All-Americans. And this is the stupid part. They don't want Jewish kids to join it. Or Catholic kids, or black kids, or kids who speak Chinese or Spanish or anything but English. You know how many kids there are in the All-Americans today? 2. I think they're kind of sick of each other. But the rest of us are having a great time.
He was the last of the old-style politicians, a man of the people who worked for the people and stood by the people. And tonight, remembrances are coming in from across the country for Tip O'Neill, Speaker of the House. He died of a heart attack late last night. Tonight, Massachusetts hearts are opening for him. News Center 5's Anthony Everett is standing by at the State House live tonight. Anthony?
Well, Jack, Tip O'Neill will receive the highest of honors. He will lie in state here at the State House over the course of this weekend. And amid all the sadness, I suppose there's a certain symmetry to all of this. The last man so honored was very much Tip O'Neill's political mentor, James Michael Curley, governor, mayor of Boston, and congressman himself. He was so honored back in 1958. This will be a chance for all of Massachusetts and people from around the country to honor Tip O'Neill and pay their condolences to his family. In fact, there will be many such chances to do so in the next several days.
Sing, sing, sing the Lord's song, let it fill the air.
At the parish where Tip O'Neill grew up, the church where he walked down the aisle with his bride, they will pack the aisles on Monday to remember a favorite son.
The parish, this is his parish. He may have lived down the Cape the last 10 years or so, but he was very devoted to this parish and the neighborhood.
Father Francis Reedy grew up with O'Neill, remembers him fondly, and on Monday leads a funeral for a friend.
All my recollections are fond. I didn't always agree with what he did when he was in Congress, but all my recollections are fond. He was very good to me.
He was good to many, including the current Speaker of the Massachusetts House, Charles Flaherty. Flaherty recalls the day in 1991 that he asked O'Neill to escort him into the House chamber when Flaherty took over as Speaker. O'Neill, under the weather and down on the Cape, came anyway.
Well, we've lost a national treasure,
and a role model for myself and every other person in public life in America.
Even a role model for the state's Republican governor.
Well, his style is a style that I relish. It's very personal, and he's the most decent guy that ever drew breath and never forgot that he came from Barry's Corner. I read with great interest and care his book, Man of the House, and it's like every sentence in that went ping, ping, ping right into me, reverberated.
And so the governor, the speaker, and Senate President Bulger have agreed that O'Neill should lie in state this weekend in the Hall of Flags at the State House. A chance for others to pay fond remembrances. Everyone seems to have a story about the speaker.
When he went to the annual meetings of the Clover Club, which is an Irish society in Boston, he always refused to sit up at the dais. He insisted on sitting down in the audience with his friends, with everybody else. So that's a lesson I drew from him.
At the State House, the flags have been lowered. They have been lowered as well around the state as this state pays its respects to Tip O'Neill. Just to give you an idea of the kind of support this man had and the kind of bipartisan support he had, Presidents Carter, Bush, and Reagan all called the O'Neill family today to express their condolences. It's expected that President Ford may be here to pay his respects. President Ford, of course, served many years in Congress with Tip O'Neill. And Vice President Gore will be here as well over the course of this weekend. They will join thousands of others who will have a chance to pay their respects in the next several days. Reporting live from the State House, I'm Anthony Everett, News Center 5 Tonight. Susan, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Tip O'Neill strode through Washington's halls of power or through the triple-deckers of his Cambridge neighborhood with equal comfort. An Irishman who was a bridge to generations of immigrants without ever stumbling into a gap. News Center 5's David Boeri reports Tip O'Neill was one man who could always go home again.
He grew up in a neighborhood of French, Italian, and Irish immigrants, worked in the Ringe Avenue brickyards, and even though his biggest job was in Washington, he never forgot who he worked for and where he came from.
Everybody loves him. Nobody could tell you a word against him. It's a man that you cry for.
Those who lived with him through the Depression, worked for him, cheered him on, and remembered him with fierce pride say he always came home.
When he was home, he went to do errands. He went up to Frank the barber. He went to John the shoemaker. Walked up and down the yard. Went to Border Square Shopping Center. Shaking hands. It probably took them to buy a quart of milk. It'd probably take them all day to get it.
He may have known kings and presidents, but the speaker played cards with the boys and bought his cold cuts from his pal, Red the Butcher.
That he did. He did his errands on the avenue. Parked his wagon across the street. He'd wear his pushed-in cap with a cigar, and he'd stop in to get his usual cold cuts, roast beef, whatever. He was a steady.
And his cigar was always big. His ego, always small.
He had his own elevator, right? And I looked at him, I says, you're really a big shot. But that's the way, he never was that way to me, I said, you're really a big shot. I says, but I never felt that way with him.
He would never say anything about, to you, whether you were right or wrong. He wanted to hear the opinion of the people.
He wasn't Tip, he was Tom, or Tippy, to the common people, to the working class and immigrants that he always came home to.
There isn't a funeral home around that could handle the crowd.
And so Mr. Speaker will lie in state at the State House, the only time that Tip O'Neill ever outgrew the neighborhood he always came back to. For News Center 5 Tonight, I'm David Boeri.
It was in the halls of Congress that Tip O'Neill's permanent place in American history was sealed. For 10 years, he was Mr. Speaker, and during the Reagan presidency, the leader of a battered Democratic Party. So tonight, those who served with him are among those mourning his passing with tributes.
He had a disarming way about him. He could walk up to Pat Schroeder, or some of the feminist members of Congress. He'd throw his big arm around them and call them darling and get away with it. If I did that, I'd be brought up on charges. And they just loved him because they knew he was a man of principles, and he was embedded in a philosophy of government that government can work to make life better for the average working person.
He told me specifically, everybody says it about him, but he said to me, never assume that you're going to get somebody's vote. You have to ask for it. And I tell you, it's advice that I always follow.
He always used to tell a story about when he was a kid, seeing these old people be taken to the poorhouse over the hill, and he wanted to build a strong middle America and just felt that we should do everything we could legislatively and any other way to be sure that we do get people out of this poverty cycle.
He said he took people and people's needs and the office that he served in seriously, never himself. It's a good lesson for life, and it's a particularly good lesson for politicians.
The name will live forever, and those who walk by it day in and day out won't forget, including this worker at the Thomas P. O'Neill Federal Building.
Well, it's a proud, proud honor to work in a building named after such a great man as he was. He helped a little guy and never forgot his friends, knew where he came from, and it's a sad day for all of us in Massachusetts, and we're going to miss him. He's one of a kind.
Tonight, President Clinton has also issued a statement about the speaker, saying, "On a day of sadness for my family and Tip's, Hillary and I wish his wife Millie and their family our deepest sympathies for a husband and a father now gone, and for a beautiful life well lived." Of course, Tip O'Neill will always be remembered as the consummate Boston Irish politician, a common man in an uncommon job, and he proved that character, he proved that with character, wit, and wisdom, and he proved that it could not be blunted by the constraints of class or economics. Mike Barnacle joins us now to reflect on the man they called the Speaker. I've read a lot about him tonight, and I read a couple of congressmen said there'll never be another. I assume that's true, isn't it, Mike?
You know, there probably couldn't be another. I mean, you couldn't elect someone who looked like that and who acted like that in this plastic day and age, you know, who didn't come into a room with some nitwit who was getting $15,000 a week to say, wear the blue shirt and, you know, get more hairspray on you and don't tell them what you really feel or think or believe. This guy, in all that's been said and on TV all day long, you know, it comes down to the fact that he was a genuinely nice human being who enjoyed people. That's why people liked him, because he liked people and they could sense it. There are a million stories. I mean, we could sit here. I mean, we could do we could do the next 5 days for stories. I mean, you know, I mean, you can do a different story a minute. I mean, he was a funny guy. Sometimes he didn't mean to be funny. One of the best stories he used to tell on himself was sitting in the White House in April of 1961, right before the Bay of Pigs. Jack Kennedy is president, and they're in there and they're watching a opening day baseball game on TV, and they just come back from opening day where the president threw out the first ball, and the president comes into the little office, Kenny O'Donnell's office where they were, and he says, "Isn't this great, Tip?" He says, "Isn't this something? Here we are in the White House," and Tip says, "It's incredible, Mr. President, it's incredible." He said, "Tip," he said, "you know," he said, "did you think all those years ago in 1946 when you were with Mike Neville, who was the mayor of Cambridge, who ran against Jack Kennedy for Congress in 46, the president says, did you ever think in 1946 when you were with Mike Neville that I'd be someday in the White House?" And Tip takes a cigar out of his house. He says, "Mr. President," he says, "if I thought that," he says, "I never would have been with Neville." You know? I mean, there was no curveballs at the guy. There was no swerves. I mean, he was just a good guy, an honest guy. You listen to these pathetic creatures in politics today who torture themselves and us on TV trying to give their twisted, lying answers to the simplest questions, then you want to slap them. I mean, this man could stand up and tell you the truth. About no matter what you asked him, he'd tell you the truth. You might not like it. You might disagree with his ideology and his politics.
As Ronald Reagan did. Reagan was a perfect example. He used to say the worst things about Reagan, but they were still friends.
Yeah, well, I don't think he liked Reagan that much.
Well, at least Reagan liked him.
Well, they liked each other in the sense that, you know, Reagan was a great storyteller, but Tip would say, you know, you'd go into the White House and sit down to, you know, the world is about to end in a half an hour. The Russians have the missiles and everything like that, and let's go over the thing, Mr. President. And the President said, you know, that would remind me of a movie I played in with Pat O'Brien in 1949, Tip, Sailors Away. Did you ever see it? And he'd say, you know, he's a Looney Tune. He has, like, no clue as to what's going on.
Maybe he didn't like him then.
No, he did like him, but, you know, the fact that, you know, you needed an alarm clock 12 hours a day as president bothered the tipster.
That's another commentary for another time, Mike.
Mike, when was the last time they had somebody lie in state at the State House in Massachusetts?
We were trying to think earlier.
You know, I have no idea. I have no idea. We'd have to look that up. But, you know, before, you know, this thing concludes tonight, I mean, he had a wonderful life. He was a great guy who had a wonderful life. He was happy almost every day of his life. He was happy with his family. He was happy with himself. And he died at Brigham and Women's Hospital, lying in bed, watching the BC-Villanova basketball game, complaining that BC wasn't going to make the point spread, having an ice cream cone, and then gone with a heart attack. And You know, not a bad way for a guy to go. No suffering, no lingering.
After a great life.
After a wonderful life that he had for himself, and a lot of wonderful things he did for a lot of people.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Once again, we want you to know that the former speaker will be lying in state at the State House this weekend, so the people of his home state can say goodbye. The hours are 2 to 8 Saturday, and then Sunday from 2 to 6. The funeral will be held Monday morning. A mass will be said at 11 o'clock at St. John's in Cambridge. News Center 5 will provide live coverage of the event beginning at 9 o'clock on Monday morning.
All right, changing gears here a bit. Just ahead, the storms that won't stop.
Yeah, Lynn will join us. And in Washington, a sad and solemn day for the president. That story when we come back.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in if only in if only my
Tonight, a 25-year veteran of the Malden Police Force has died. Officers say he took his own life. Joseph DeMarco was found dead of a gunshot wound this afternoon at the Woodlawn Cemetery in Everett. DeMarco had been accused of raping a family member. He'd been arrested last June and charged with rape and assault and battery. DeMarco had been placed on administrative leave from the Malden Police Department.
President Clinton is back home in Arkansas tonight to make funeral arrangements. His mother died unexpectedly this morning. The president arrived home late this afternoon after getting the news that his mother, Virginia Kelly, died of complications from breast cancer. She had spent the holidays at the White House with the first family. They'd been together just 8 days ago. Mrs. Kelly was often at her son's side. He said that she was responsible for his success.
You want to know where I get my fighting spirit? It all started with my mother. Thank you, Mother. I love you.
There is a feeling of loss and sadness. He was very close to his mother. She was so supportive of him over the years. She never pushed him, and I want to emphasize that, but was always supportive, and they had a remarkable engaging way, or a way of engaging each other in conversation.
Mrs. Kelly was 70 years old. Her funeral will be held Saturday morning in Arkansas.
Tonight, the recall of an asthma medication is affecting hundreds of thousands of patients. 4-year-old Jaron Cook Bennett uses a machine called a nebulizer to open up his airways. It's a common treatment, but tonight, the medicine in the machine has been recalled. Copley Pharmaceuticals of Canton found that a common waterborne bacteria had contaminated some vials of their generic albuterol. So today, the company recalled all vials of albuterol in a 20-millimeter 0.5% concentration. The microbe could cause illness or even death in some sick patients.
In a healthy individual, it could be treated with intravenous antibiotics, but in an immunocompromised patient, it could present a very serious problem.
Do you think, what's your advice to people?
We're advising our patients not to panic and to call their pharmacist.
If you have any questions about the recall, you can ask your physician, or you can call Copley Pharmaceuticals at their 800 number, which is 325-6111.
Tonight, it appears the world-famous Plymouth Rock may be in for a major makeover. The state legislature has just approved $2.5 million to fix up the foundation around the landmark, build a visitor center, and add some sidewalks. The senator who sponsored the bill says people shouldn't have to stand around in the mud to see the renowned rock. But tonight, state officials say the money may never be used because they'd rather use private funds for the project.
Mud is starting to look pretty good compared to what we have.
And what we're going to get, not only tonight, but probably right through the first part of the weekend. Once again, my apologies, Susan. Really? Let's get a check at the current temperatures. Around southern New England right now, we're really finding some cold air, especially places like Portsmouth and Worcester, only 9 degrees right now. Boston checking in at 13, while Falmouth warms to about 20 degrees, and temperatures should still be mild there tonight. In fact, we're not looking for much of a cool down from the current readings that you're seeing outside right now, mostly single numbers to lower teens. As we head out to the rest of the country, though, our band of snow extends all the way from southern New England back into the northern plains, where they had 4-foot drifts over northern Minnesota, and even the mountains of the Rockies are getting in on the action with as much as 55 inches of snow in some of the ski areas in Utah. While our ski areas of central and southern New England will be getting the fresh coating of powder tomorrow, with the map showing more accumulating snow. But late in the afternoon, some ice, freezing rain and sleet will be mixing in along the south coast of New England. And during the day, it looks as though this icing could reach the Boston area, even points further north and west. So no matter how you look at it, driving conditions are going to be treacherous tomorrow, at least a mess right through the evening hours. Meanwhile, on the national scene, this is the next storm we're going to be keeping an eye on as warm moisture begins to develop over the south and east. This will be riding up in our direction, and where it heads is still a question. That's why we're looking at the potential for more icing overnight Friday night, possibly into Saturday. Heavy snow accumulations somewhere in New England on Saturday. And from this one, it looks like 6 to 9 for much of Massachusetts, lesser amounts as you go further south, only about 1 to 3 along the Cape. And here's a look at your morning commute tomorrow. Other than the flakes flying, we should find winds rather light out of the northeast at about 10 miles an hour. But temperatures again in the single numbers for the suburbs, about 13 downtown, 20 as you head further south, 28 on Nantucket in the morning. So here's a look at your complete forecast then. Overnight tonight, yes, roads and driving conditions are deteriorating, with 3 to 6 inches of snow expected by morning. Again, a light fluffy snow, though, easy to brush off the car. You probably won't need the scraper until tomorrow night. During the day tomorrow, periods of snow, 1 to 3 inches by evening. Again, that icing to the south with the temperature range of 20 to 33. Then for tomorrow night, occasional light snow, sleet, and freezing drizzle, 20 to 30. And here we go again, right through Saturday. It still looks like we will be on the fence as far as what kind of precipitation we get here, but it looks like some icing for some sections of southern New England, otherwise snow and 32. Clearing out on Sunday, and boy, Monday's looking pretty good, isn't it?
Never thought we'd look forward to Monday.
Yeah, really.
So did you think when you went to meteorology school that you'd become an expert on road conditions?
Not really, but I'm glad to help out where I can.
Thanks, Ellen.
All right, coming up next, we'll have a final tribute to the Speaker of the House.
But first, a live report from Detroit with the latest on Nancy Kerrigan's condition. Sports is next.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
There can be hope only for society which acts as one family, not as many separate ones.
Knowledge is an antidote to fear.
Different words, different voices, different faces, all coming together in harmony. Understanding is the key, and the time is now, because together we can make a world of difference.
In case you haven't noticed, there's a whole generation out there that's trying to tell us something about getting along. Hate is an old idea.
All right, the latest from the, I guess we could call it the Kerrigan incident by now. Everybody seems to know about it, Mike.
Yeah,
What's happening?
It's incredible. Fortunately, this seems to have a fairly positive ending and development so far. We can tell you that Nancy Kerrigan is resting comfortably tonight after the attack on her this afternoon. There were no broken bones. Usually, we can see Nancy right here, skating on ice and looking so graceful. However, an unidentified man hacked her right knee with a black object resembling a cane or a tire iron today. The man then fled by knocking out a plexiglass window, leaving behind a terrified Nancy Kerrigan in agony.
Why? I don't know, some hard black stick. Something really, really hard. Help me.
Nancy was then taken to the hospital where she underwent x-rays, which fortunately were negative. She walked out of the hospital and actually walked back into her hotel where she is with her family tonight. No broken bones, but...
I'm going to see how I skate tomorrow in the practice, and if I can jump. It's hard to tighten my muscle right now, but I'm a little bit paranoid. You know, when I'm walking, I'm looking behind me. This kind of thing has happened before in other sports, but not everybody's like that. And most people are worried about me and wondering what happened, and, you know, those are the people that, you know, I want to tell that I'm okay, so. You know, that's not the most important thing, skating, so if I can't, I'll have to deal with it. But, you know, I'm okay, and it could have been a lot worse.
Now, Nancy's scheduled to skate the technical program tomorrow afternoon. If she is unable to skate, she could be excluded from the Olympic team under the current guidelines. However, tonight, the United States Figure Skating Association indicated that it would strongly consider an appeal by Nancy Kerrigan. Now, she was scheduled, there is a scheduled practice at the arena right at this very moment. And we go now to Dan Springer of our ABC affiliate WXYZ in Detroit. And Dan, Nancy isn't one of the skaters down below you, is she?
No, in fact, she was just announced, her name was announced, but that must have been a tape because she is not on the ice. She said in that interview with ABC that she would not practice tonight. She is resting comfortably at the Westin Hotel. She has some swelling in her knee. She's on an anti-inflammatory drug, but we were told that she is not going to be practicing tonight. That does not mean she's not going to be in the championship round tomorrow.
And let me ask you, has the United States Figure Skating Association budged at all on their ruling that you have to finish 1 or 2 in tomorrow or Saturday's competition in order to qualify?
Well, I talked to an official tonight, and she told me that there may be a provision where she could still skate maybe in the next couple of days and be allowed to compete in the Olympics, but they will have a decision by the next few days. They said they can't let it go beyond that because, of course, these skaters have to know so they can start training for the Olympics.
What's the word on the assailant tonight, Danny?
I'm sorry?
What's the word on the assailant, the man who attacked her?
Yeah, we have a white male, 25 to 35 years old. He was wearing a black jeans and a black leather coat. People got a good look at him, but they just did not catch him. He was able to break through a plexiglass door and run out and mingle with the crowd before police were able to apprehend him. But they may have an idea of who they're looking for. They certainly do have a very good description because people were at the practice scene and they were watching as this was happening in front of them.
All right, Dan, thanks so much for joining us tonight. All right, Dan Springer of WXYZ in Detroit. All right, Bruins play tonight down at the Garden against the Winnipeg Jets, and it was Harvard night for the Boston Bruins as Harvard grads scored 3 of the Bruins. No problem, though. Here comes Donnie Sweeney out of Harvard. Puts the Bruins up 3-2, but Winnipeg will come back and tie it at 3 apiece. No problem at all for Veritas. Teddy Donato out of Harvard, second of the night. Adam Oates didn't play, so Donato got to skate with Neely and Junot. And Junot, good things are going to happen when he skates with him.
Yes, for sure.
And they did. Mike Dowling has just landed in Detroit.
He's had quite a day.
Starting out at about 6 o'clock tonight. He will be with the Kerrigans tomorrow. He'll have a report for us tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
Okay, great, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Still to come, Remembering Tip.
We'll be right back.
The current affairs story is not just about somebody else. It's about us, all of us. It's not just TV, it's life. Stories from our towns, our cities, our streets. It's about ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances. It's news. So if you think you know what A Current Affair is all about, you haven't seen us lately. A Current Affair, the original, and it's still the best in the business.
Weeknights on Channel 5.
Drunk driving doesn't just kill drunk drivers. Next time your friend insists on driving drunk, do whatever it takes to stop him.
Finally tonight, some thoughts on the death of Speaker Tip O'Neill. Here's our editorial director, Marjorie Ernst-Barron.
We shouldn't be sad for a man who lived such a full life, had a wonderful family, rose to the top of his profession, and enjoyed power, good friends, and the admiration of millions around the world. But we do feel sad for ourselves and the loss of Speaker Tip O'Neill to the community. We feel that loss because they just don't make him that way anymore. He was a bear of a man who would have been intimidating were he not so affable, such an engaging storyteller. He was the preeminent master of the old school of personal politics, where people are more important than issues. Loyalty is a measure of the man, and friends help each other. He was a skilled tactician who did his homework and had an uncanny sense of timing. He first learned parliamentary strategy the hard way as minority leader of the Republican State House run then by Speaker Christian Herter. When O'Neill became the state's first Democratic Speaker at age 36, he surprised everyone by treating his old Republican enemies with respect. It was a style that marked his illustrious career. He carried the banner on labor and civil rights issues right from the time in 1937 that he was one of just 6 state reps to oppose a loyalty oath for teachers. He called it stupid and despicable. Throughout his career, he battled for housing, education, and jobs. His break with Lyndon Johnson on the Vietnam War pained him because he so valued party loyalty. He had a talent for making us feel he was one of us, and at the same time was very much his own man. We are all diminished by his passing.
And a reminder, the funeral for Speaker O'Neill takes place Monday at 11 a.m. at St. John's Church in Cambridge. News Center 5 will have live coverage of the services beginning at 9 o'clock Monday morning. And before we leave you tonight, we want you to know that the last person to lie in state at the Massachusetts State House was, in fact, James Michael Curley.
All right, have a good night. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.
When you're looking to buy a used car, there's only one car dealer that can offer you the national seal of automotive integrity. Atlantic Chrysler Plymouth Toyota is the only dealership in the greater Boston area to carry the seal that means a used car has been fully inspected and carries a warranty from a dealer that's going to stand behind it. The national seal of automotive integrity gives you the value and confidence you need in buying a used car. See Atlantic Chrysler Plymouth Toyota on the Linway in Lynn today and look for the seal before you make the deal.
Wake up. Call 1-976-WAKE. Get out of bed and get ahead. Use your touch-tone phone. Call 1-976-WAKE. We're the wake up that works. So why worry about being late again? Call 1-976-WAKE. Do it now. Only $2 per call. Depend on us. Call 1-976-WAKE and wake up right. Wake up bright. Wake up to us tomorrow. For service outside Massachusetts, call 1-900-976-WAKE.
This is WCVB-TV, Boston.
You're watching Chronicle, New England's only nightly news magazine.
The New England shopper, a savvy shopper.
Thrifty and value conscious.
And we're in good company.
Harry Ellis, Calvin Klein.
Filene's Basement, Marshalls, TJ Maxx. What's going on in off-price retailing? A talent contest. The best bargain wins.
I'm going to head straight for women's coats.
Wow, 104 down to $59.99.
Huh? No, I know.
Plus the ads that become fads. And the life of a legend. Mike Barnacle on Tip O'Neill. Retail Tales, next.
Tonight, Peter Mahegan, Mary Richardson, with Liz Bruner and Mike Barnacle. Chronicle, New England's nightly news magazine.
It's a retail concept that New Englanders know well. Clothing stores where you get brand names but don't pay full price. You know the stores. Frugal Fanny's Fashion Warehouse, Loman's, Milton's, and Sim's. And then, of course, there's...
There isn't a brand that you will find in a department store that you won't find in Filene's Basement.
I have to go to Marshall's.
Sure, they've been around for years, only today they're absolutely booming.
You got a lot of good buys here.
There's definitely a trend towards lower-priced shopping among all consumers.
You're looking for a brand name at a good value.
This isn't the 80s anymore, and most retailers have come to realize that.
I can get like Perry Ellis, Calvin Klein, Giorgio right here for less price.
Everybody's looking to save money, and never has that been more true than in the laid-off, downsized, cut-back 90s. Mary English is with Fidelity Investments.
It's prolific among all classes, low, middle, and upper-class consumers. They're looking to buy things at lower prices. And it's really something that is happening all over the country, not just here in Boston.
Now, let's get one thing straight. If you're going to shop at these stores, you have to know what to call them. They are not discount stores. They are not factory outlets. If you're going to be PC, the term is off-price.
Off-price, but on target with the consumer. Stores once relegated to the suburban shopping plazas are now debuting in some pretty swanky locations. Bonwit Teller went out of business at this posh Back Bay address. Now Marshall's is packing them in.
Marshall's? In Back Bay? Well, I never.
We call this store Marshall's. We don't call it Marshall's because it's in the Back Bay, so we have given it a little bit more of an upscale name.
Not to be outdone, Filene's Basement is doing a little social climbing, too. There are new Filene's Basements on Manhattan's fashionable Upper West Side and in Washington's exclusive Chevy Chase. And then in Chicago, there were legal maneuvers to keep Filene's Basement from opening a store on chic Michigan Avenue, but to no avail. This fall, the basement doors will swing open on the Magnificent Mile.
You know, the 90s is a different era, and I think these guys have the formula right, and I think it's going to be a big payoff for them down the road.
But wait, when it comes to hoity-toity downtown digs, TJ Maxx has no trouble keeping up with the Joneses. They're hobnobbing in Hartford, Chicago, and recently in Denver, where they're opening with a major media event.
I'm in TJ Maxx store right now.
And downstairs, the first store opened was TJ Maxx.
There are a couple of stores so far, a Waxman's, which you see on the first floor here behind me, a TJ Maxx on the second floor.
Why such a fuss? Well, for many cities, off-price shopping is a new thing. Hard to imagine when you live around Boston, the town where Edward Filene opened the doors to his bargain basement back in 1908. Filene taught New Englanders how to shop off-price. Marshall's came along in 1956 with its first store in Beverly. TJ Maxx started up in Worcester and Auburn in 1977. Today, they've all gone national, but their headquarters remain here, making the Boston area America's off-price mecca. TJ Maxx operates its 515-store empire out of Framingham. Richard Lesser is president.
How do we measure up against other states in terms of how much we do this kind of buying?
Well, in some measurement, Massachusetts is twice as much off-price buying per capita as the rest of the country. So people in Massachusetts love to save money. They're very good that way.
Marshall's runs its 450 off-price stores out of Andover. Warren Feldberg is chairman and CEO. Why Massachusetts?
I think it goes back to the roots of the New England shopper, who has historically probably been thrifty and value-conscious and aware of what the best brands are.
Today, the granddaddy of them all, Filene's Basement, has 56 locations and is based in Wellesley. Chairman and CEO, that's right, Sam Gerson.
Now there is a lot more competition in the market. What's the net effect of that?
Well, I think competition makes one better, and we love the competition. We think we have a particular niche. We're going after the better part of the off-price business, and we love to fight for the customer.
So how does it work? How are the off-price stores able to sell brand names at up to 60% off?
In many cases, it's surpluses that they've had in season that we've accommodated them by cleaning out. It's things that we've bought in off-season, where we've helped manufacturers who have downtime, and it's very efficient for them to keep busy manufacturing merchandise.
When you run a low-cost operation, it enables you to take the merchandise which we buy advantageously and in turn turn it around and sell it to our customers for great savings.
You know, off-price is a very legitimate channel of distribution, and the manufacturing industry needs us.
It hasn't gone unnoticed the success of the off-pricers. And as a result of that, as I said, the department stores have dropped their prices. This whole trend towards lower pricing was started by Walmart years ago. And what this means is a much happier consumer because they're getting a better deal.
I think another thing that people need to remember, too, is that you can get more than clothing at these stores.
You sure can. Dishes, placewares, placemats, crystal. I've even seen it at Filene's Basement when we did the shopping thing. That's why I found a lot of people would tell me that when they met our camera crew in the store that they had done all their Christmas shopping in one of these spots. They'd come and they'd found everything.
Everything in one place.
Exactly. But you can't count on every store having everything. That's what you have to check.
That's the tip. Okay. We'll have more of Chronicle in just a moment.
Chronicle is closed captioned for the hearing impaired, with a grant provided by Bull Worldwide Information Systems.
We think the goal is not to tolerate diversity, but to celebrate it. The world is a much more interesting place to live because we are different.
For most of us, the holidays are a time for joy and happiness, a time for sharing with friends and relatives. Unfortunately, for some, the holidays are very stressful, and they have difficulty coping. If you or one of your relatives or friends has that difficulty, we would like you to know that we're here to help. I'm Mary Lee Blay. Please give us a call at 617-325-6700.
One of my favorite things in the world to do is shop. I love to shop, and finding a bargain is a lot of fun.
Sharon O'Neill is an off-price shopper, not a professional, just someone who makes regular rounds to all the off-price stores.
One of my latest acquisitions. It's a mustard yellow, fully lined wool blazer, and they go for $89. I paid $14 for it. I got this, oh gosh, 7 or 8 years ago. I paid $29 for it. And this is what I call my power suit. This suit, famous designer suit, they go for up to $300. And I paid $39 for this.
When you go off-price shopping, it's like a treasure hunt. The other shoppers are the competition. Who can find the good stuff in the right size first?
Typical shopper is 25 to 50 years old. She probably works. She has children. And I think she's very tuned in to values. She understands brand names.
Now, we wanted to show you how all of this works, so I asked my fellow shoppers, Peter Mehigan and Liz Bruner, to each pick a store, and then we'd test our shopping talents. The idea is to see which one of us can find the greatest markdown and save the most money. I'm shopping TJ Maxx. I'm going to head straight for women's coats, because if this is a contest, I figure the big ticket items are going to have the best savings. So let's see what we can come up with over here. Ooh, big names. They do have some big name designers. Nice. Not me. Back to the rack.
One thing about bargain shopping that you do have to do is you have to shop fairly regularly. You have to go back because the stock continually turns over.
Another trick is don't necessarily buy something that you're going to need for immediately, but anticipate. You might find early in the fall season, even when it's warm outside, there's some wonderful values on fall suits.
Over at Marshall's, Liz is doing some shopping of her own.
Well, I always love a great bargain, so I'm ready to see what kind of great bargains I can find today. Let's go shopping. I might have to try that one on. This is my size. Wow, $104 down to $59.99. That's a pretty good deal. Now this you can compare to $178 at some stores